Cam, I'm going live, okay? Hello, good morning. One of those crazy mornings here. We're so excited to be going live with you on Wednesday for our first series, our first in the series of BCI Connection, which is brain-computer interface. We are going to be bringing on people who are in this larger field, who are going to be introducing us and getting us up to speed on what is going on in this area. And then, as you know, Cognition is also working in this space with brain-computer interface and augmented reality in terms of augmentative communication. So our first guest in this series is Yannick Roy, and he is here with us. Let's bring him on. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited for this to kick off this amazing series. So thank you very much for inviting me, and looking forward for this live chat.
Thank you, and I'm excited because this is my first interview outside of the United States. So where are you?
I'm in Montreal, Canada.
Yay! Excellent, excellent. And I did bring up as a speech language pathologist that you have a little bit of an accent, which is just lovely, and that is the French influence that you have in that area, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I'm French speaking. Well, Canadian French, Quebec
Canadian
French speaking. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to our show, and thank you for saying yes to being our first interview for our BCI Connection series. And I do want to bring up that you have a wonderful connection to our founder, Andreas Forsland. Can you tell us a little bit about your history and how the two of you met?
Yeah, so NeuroTechX, the organization I'm a co-founder of, and Cognition met and have been kind of good friends for the past couple of years. And I first in-person meeting with Andreas was, I think, at the BCI meeting a few years back. But the organization, we knew each other from organizations, and then meeting in person was awesome, and obviously strengthened the links between the two organizations. And ever since, we've been collaborating on different things, whether more on the services basis or a sponsorship for student club competition, things like that. Hackathons as well that happen in Toronto. So long history of collaboration between the two entities. So I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. And then you yourself, you call it a 360 view on NeuroTech. Can you expand on that?
Yes, in terms of the, you mean in terms of the organization, NeuroTechX itself, the 360? Yeah, so NeuroTechX is an international neurotech community. It's a non-for-profit. The mission of the organization is to facilitate the advancement of neurotechnology, which is a broad and ambitious statement. The way we do that is that we do have three main pillars: community, education, and innovation. So we do have many initiatives. We have 13 initiatives that support these different pillars and regulate our different activities that we're doing. But in a nutshell, we're bringing people together through different events, whether it's physical, online, small events, big events, conferences, hackathons, scientific, business. We cover it all. And then for the education purposes, we try to provide people either information, resources, knowledge, know-how, once again, from industry, business to ethics, up to science, obviously, technology, hands-on skills, coding, hardware, things like that. So we do have student clubs, we organize workshops, hackathons. We have amazing tutorials. We have an online EDU platform where people can get a lot of resources. We're currently publishing a book. By the end of the 2020, we'll have a book available for people that they can purchase to know more about the field. And the idea or the thesis behind NeuroTechX is really that once people are connected, know who's doing what, and they have a network and have the resources, knowledge, know-how, then they can go on and have an impact in the field, whether by joining a business, by starting their own, by tackling challenges, but really just by contributing. So we see NeuroTechX as being a platform, an ecosystem, a funnel where people can evolve, grow. And if we do that at scale with a lot of people all over the world, then we believe that we'll have a significant impact in the field.
Beautiful. Now, I have to say, I was a little wary of having you as my guest because in my mind, I think, wow, NeuroTech, it's such a high level science, what is going on here? And you were saying that, and you're saying this now too, is that you are actually the person providing a lot of education. And I think that's really important because I always say this, because of the sci-fi movies, there's this fear factor, that computers are going to take over our jobs, and, we're kind of seeing where computers can be more efficient than people. But NeuroTech is now them taking over our minds or being more invasive. Can you give me a little bit of information on that? Like, what is your intro to somebody who might be a little bit fearful about what is the ramifications of this?
Yeah. So first, so the field of neurotech is new and not new at the same time, and is a broad field. So neuro meaning brain and nervous system. So that alone is quite broad, and technology meaning any technology. So neurotechnology can encompass a lot of different fields and take many different shapes and forms. What we've been seeing more and more recently, and what one of the first things that comes to mind for people in the neurotech field is more of the, as you said, the kind of like the sci-fi part of things, where we do have devices connected with our brain, whether outside, non-invasive, or inside, which we call invasive. And one of the sub area of this field is the field of BCI, so brain-computer interfaces, which is the theme of the series. And it really it started obviously like in the 17. The field of BCI, really in the research, really early prototyping of trying to read what's happening in the brain and take some brain activity, and then putting it out there by a technology to control or communicate with something, with a device of some sort. So fast forward a couple of decades, now we get into the early 2000s, and things start getting really exciting because of technology. Because back then, computers were not what they are today. There was no internet as we know it today. The mobile world, all the miniaturization of devices and microelectronics. So obviously the field has changed drastically over the past couple of years. And now even more, it's not just a research thing anymore, but now it starts to facing the public. And this is where there's been a shift more recently, where now we engage the public in the discussions, because now we can foresee that we're definitely going towards a neuro future that will impact all of us, not just a few handful of people that are disabled, but also going from disabled to also what's next, and talking about human enhancement. A good example of that was Elon Musk with his venture Neuralink on Friday. So a couple of days ago, big news that the world was watching and waiting for. So definitely this is now part of the narrative. Doesn't mean that we're there yet and that we understand the brain, far from there, and that we can control and interact with the digital world directly from our brain. So we're definitely not there yet, but the fact that the few early signs are pointing us that we're going there, then it's, I think this is what excites me personally, to be in that era, in this generation, that will make that happen for the future.
Excellent. Well, you're not just in it, you are leading it. And you moved perfectly into my first question, which is the what's new that's going on in this space. And for our audience, if you want to catch up with it's actually recorded now, but it was live on Friday. Elon Musk, with his new company, or with his existing company, Neuralink, showed us how he's doing invasive research with pigs and receiving information, and then talking about how he's going to be working with the team to give information to the brain and hopefully then affect diseases, disorders, quadriplegic, connections. It was just amazing, what he's saying that we're going to be able to do. So you can find that, I believe, on YouTube as a recorded event. So thank you. That was a wonderful kind of history and intro to this space. And because you are such a leader, having you on the show with us is really important. Excuse me, because I feel like you really are on the cutting edge and forefront of what's going on. And so, is there things that you can share with us and what you think is coming next in, like, let's say, the next 5 years?
So what's coming next is there. I think that we do have right now a beautiful duality between non-invasive and invasive. So both tracks are really evolving in parallel. Obviously, some people on one side would argue that their side is better, so we should go more invasive because we have more access to the brain, we have better resolution, and people in the non-invasive world would probably say that yes, but we need to open the skull and put technology in the brain, which has obviously a lot of ramification and side effects and whatnot. So, but I think that it's beautiful to see both of them happening at the same time and really evolving, and companies taking kind of different approaches, and also seeing some different modalities being explored to try to understand the physics and try to understand the brain itself, using things like that we know in the past, things like EEG, electroencephalography, where the idea is to try to measure electrical activity. So we know that neurons are communicating and emitting electrical signal, if we take that at a higher level, and EEG is trying to measure that potential difference between two places. So we put electrodes on the brain, and then we measure electrical current basically in between the two. So that's what's been done a lot. And then fMRI that people are also familiar with, a brain scan. You have magnets, and then you can do some functional as well to decipher brain activity happening. More recently, couple of new modalities that we've seen appearing are things like FNIRS, which stands for functional near infrared spectroscopy. And the idea here is to use light, namely the near infrared spectrum. And basically, we're sending light into the brain. So we're sent on one side, and we're receiving the light on the other side, and we're trying to understand what happened in between. So obviously a lot of physics, a lot of maths and calculation, but this has definitely made a lot of progress. Same thing with ultrasound, trying to use sound like a radar kind of thing, where we send sound, we echo, we listen to what's coming back, and we try to infer what happened and what messed up the sound basically in between, and we tie that with brain activity. So the fact that we have different ways of looking at the brain, from electrical, magnetic, from light, from sound, and we're trying to combine different things, and from outside and within the brain. I think that's definitely opening a lot of new challenges. We definitely need more talent, not necessarily that are neuroscientists, but just physics, electronics, mechanics. We need expertise from all the different fields, and I think that this was kind of like the main message of Neuralink's announcement as well, that they are hiring. And it's funny to say that you're trying to build a neurotech company, and that you're looking for people that are not necessarily from the neurospace. You obviously need people that understand the brain, but you don't need a full team of neuroscientists. You also need engineers and people that have different skills that will help break the challenges that we're facing, which are more on the physics, electronic sides of things right now. And obviously it's a closed loop system where we need tools to understand the brain, which gives us more insight of how to build the tools and things like that. The best example we're seeing right now is the AI in neuroscience. So AI is feeding neuroscience, neuroscience is feeding the brain discovery, and we have this beautiful closed loop system that feed both sides of the equation.
Yes, fantastic. And you mentioned the job openings. He did say that, and that was really interesting because as a speech language pathologist, there is a space for all of these different professions to also be working. So occupational therapy, physical therapy. Yes, and I'm really honored to be working with Cognition, and also with Lucas Stuber, who is a speech language pathologist and linguist. He is our director of product development. So we come to it with a breadth of experience, both clinical and research, and being able to add that to this high-techy scientific component has just really been exciting. As you know, because you've been working with Cognition for a number of years, we're working on the headset, and right in that space that you're talking about, which is the brain-computer interface, augmented reality, and also trying to look sexy, cool, chic, that people are going to want to wear it, and it's not going to have this big Oculus, immersive type of experience. So this has been really amazing for me. Andreas Forslund, the founder, co-founder of Cognition, is on with us, and he has some great questions for you. I'm going to bring them on. This is a good one here. In 2021, as a general public, what are some of the things you think everyone will start to see in the real world regarding BCI?
Well, I think that you just pinpoint one of the things that is going to be more and more exciting is the VR, AR world. I think that there's so much potential there in embedding some sensors, just by the fact that you're putting some apparatus on your head already for the experience. You will definitely want to improve that experience with sensors, namely things like EEG is one modality, but also other biosensors measuring different things from your eye movement, your muscle activity, your things like temperature, skin conductivity. And so there are so many biosensors that we can embed. Now it's kind of a new thing as well, where we haven't necessarily put things on our head and gather all these biosignals to enhance an experience and serve a purpose. So a lot of the research and a lot of the works has been done in research labs as kind of like scientific, like let's try to research and find something. But most of these projects, once you found something, or you've proven your point, you've published a paper, then you move on, and that sits on your research lab. So seeing a lot of people like what you guys are doing and trying to bring all the research out and in the real world, I think that this will open a lot of opportunities. And VR, AR, I think, is one of the big one that will see a lot of disruption just by the fact that you have already a headset of some sort on your head, and then you will embed some of more technology, some more sensors into it. So I think that that's a low-hanging fruit on one side, since you ask about the public. So we're not necessarily going to see a lot of the invasive things and people controlling their wheelchair with their thoughts with an implant in their brain too much. So you shouldn't cross road with many people like that. But it's definitely coming at home and leaving kind of like research labs and an institute to try to do some of these more invasive things at home as well.
Exactly. Just even the word invasive makes everybody like, oh, I don't want to go to Best Buy and buy myself an invasive headset, right? Okay, so we have another.
Not yet. Let's see if Elon Musk can bring that to, and they do have a licensing deal with Best Buy in a couple of years from now.
Okay. Well, Andreas has another great question, and it's relevant because I think a lot of our viewers are speech language pathologists, assistive technology people, in this space. So how would you see us working with neuroscientists and BCI developers in the future?
Feedback. At the end of the day, people in research labs and engineers are building tools, but they don't necessarily integrate the full loop, the full pipeline from the research, the science, the engineering to the actual value to the client, the patient, customer at the end of the day. So I think that integrating a better pipeline from start to end will definitely help a lot, driving some of the feedback to improve, because engineers like to do things with no reason. Sometimes we just build cool features that might be meaningless, but our time might be better spent if we had someone guiding us, because we don't necessarily need or understand the needs, and we might not provide the best tools. So I think that this and having more people giving feedback and have a tighter connection relationship, things like getting funding for industrial partnership with research labs and things like that, and having companies also partnering with research lab, but also with a distribution pipeline, so that they can actually reach people and get some feedback in the real life, and with an N or sample size greater than one subject or patient, but at scale with diversity, so that we can get more opinion, more use cases, good ones, easy one, but hard ones as well, so that we can really integrate and develop better tools and better approaches.
Absolutely. You want a breadth of diagnoses. So would it be good for me to say that people like myself, speech language pathologists, rehab specialists, anyone in this area who's interested in tech and BCI, that we should plug into NeuroTechX?
100%. I think that it goes both ways. Neuro people needs to, or neurotech people and researchers needs to find more of you, and you need to find more of the neurotech and the researcher people, so that we can have a better discussion. We've seen a lot of these discussions happening across different NeuroTechX events as well, where we have some speakers, some researchers presenting, some companies, and then we have people from the audience saying, "Oh, this is awesome, but could we do this? Could we do that?" With actual experience on the field that sometimes challenges, sometimes it's good, or things that on people was more a blind side I haven't seen, I haven't thought of. So definitely we need more of these collisions that you cannot always force or control, but you need to, statistically speaking, increase the volume of these random collision that was not necessarily forced, and then comes up with new idea, new collaborations, and this will feed the whole ecosystem.
Excellent. Well, that's exactly why we have you here. I'll call it a collision interview, is bringing brain-computer interface expert onto our cognition Facebook page and introducing this. Hopefully that this gives everyone a really good introduction into this space, and not to be fearful about it, be more comfortable, and hoping that more professionals and colleagues will plug into companies and groups like yours, NeuroTechX, to get more information and get connected. So thank you so much, Yannick, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. Have a good rest of your day.
Likewise. Bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us on our first edition of BCI Connection. This was really exciting for me. And let me just get this. Oh, we got too many pictures here. Okay, so I'll take off Yannick. I love this program. If anybody's interested, it's called Be Live TV, and it kind of gives me too much power. So thank you so much for joining us. And we have some more and new and exciting shows coming up with people who are amazing users of AAC in the next few weeks, and also continuing to bring in experts from both the brain-computer interface section and also in the area of AAC. So today's episode of What's New, What's Next in Accessibility has been brought to you by the Speak Pros app by Cognition. It offers an intuitive interface that allows people to express themselves using face and eye tracking technology on the iPad. You can find out more about speakpros.com. You can find out more at speakpros.com, or you can contact me directly and you can get free professional access to this app. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.